If people thought the Hunter Biden pardon was controversial, officially putting the Biden crime family above the law, granting him blanket immunity for any and everything that he had done over the last 10 years, influence peddling and money laundering in Ukraine and China, all the unspeakable acts discovered on his laptop, then people better brace themselves because old Joe is about to undermine our democracy even more. But first, this is the final weekend to order anything from my online store at markdice.com, and be sure to get it in time for Christmas using standard shipping. Tuesday is officially the cutoff day, but this is the last weekend, so be sure to order your Trump Claus sweatshirt, your MAGA Christmas, any of my awesome designs, the Cat Lives Matter, Trump Fight, Fight, Fight. Get your Christmas shopping done now. This isn't Amazon Prime, so it's not next day or 2-day shipping. A lot of these have to be printed up, packaged, and shipped out. It takes a little bit of time. So I was told by the distributor that this weekend, or really Tuesday, I guess, is the final day using standard shipping. I guess you could go a couple days after that using rush shipping, but don't be a slacker. Head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out. Here's Cringe Jean-Pierre confirming the rumors that old Joe is considering preemptive pardons for a whole bunch of other people who have committed a bunch of crimes that haven't been discovered yet, so that they too can be above the law.
Are preemptive pardons on the table of President Trump?
I'm just not going to. I'm not going to get ahead of the president. Certainly, the president is looking at reviewing next steps, and there will be more to come. I'm just not going to get ahead of the president. I'm not going to get into hypotheticals from here.
To be clear, this wasn't just about pardons in general. Every president issues controversial pardons on their last few days in office as they're leaving. This was about preemptive pardon. So old Joe is preparing to just start pardoning his crime associates in Congress for things that they haven't been busted for yet. And as always, the Democrats are accusing Donald Trump of doing the exact thing that they themselves are guilty of. Here's Richard Madcow back in 2020 having delusions about Donald Trump issuing preemptive pardons to Donald Trump Jr. and other Trump associates, which he never did.
President Trump, as he winds down his last few weeks in office, is considering preemptive pardons for all his adult children, including his son-in-law, Jared. What a mess. More as we know.
And you know what's coming next. Celebrating Joe Biden from protecting his son from the obvious crimes that he committed when none of the Trump children did anything wrong.
Cue all the hand-wringing and gnashing of teeth today about a president using his power, his pardon power, his powers as president, to do something for a family member.
Oh, well, if that's what presidents do, then Donald Trump better get his pen ready and start doling them out like candy. And you know Joyless Reed was spewing her delusions during the first Trump administration, concerned that Donald Trump was going to do, well, the same thing that Joe Biden ended up doing with his kid.
Barack Obama never had to think about whether he needed to pardon Sasha and Malia, and yet Donald Trump is reportedly discussing pardons for his kids. The presidential pardon was originally meant to grant the president the power to temper justice with mercy. It was not enshrined in our Constitution so that a dishonorable man could reward his criminal allies, friends, and family for their corrupt practices. Trump is considering preemptive pardons for his adult children. Late last night, we learned that Trump has discussed preemptive pardons for his 3 eldest progeny. The news was first reported by the New York Times.
Oh, the New York Times, about as reliable of a source as the ramblings of a homeless man on the side of the street. But that was then, and this is now.
I don't have a problem with Biden pardoning his son. He should have pardoned him. The crazies are coming, right? But to me, it's like pardon more.
Pardon more! You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, and you, and you, and you. Democrat Congressman Dan Goldman from New York, who the media has been building up into a celebrity politician, one of the few 435 members of the House of Representatives who becomes like a household name for those who follow politics, maybe paving a potential future presidential run for him or selecting him as a Democrat VP. Something is going on here, but he is blaming Donald Trump for Joe Biden considering and probably likely issuing the preemptive pardons. Because as you know, everything is Donald Trump's fault.
I think the fact that they have to have that discussion says everything about Kash Patel and Donald Trump's nominees. There is no reason why any president must consider preemptive pardons because the incoming administration has made it so clear that they will go after political adversaries, and Kash Patel has been incredibly vocal about that. And I hope that the Senate Republicans, who know Joe Biden very well and know he would not take something like this lightly, really consider the fact that that's even part of this discussion about Kash Patel. He is unqualified. He is unhinged.
So you know that he is more than qualified for the job if they're saying such things. And we finally got cringe Jean-Pierre on video being confronted about the countless lies that she told the American people, saying that old Joe was never going to pardon Hunter Biden. I'm not going to play those clips again. If you missed my previous videos, just go and check them out. But here she is finally being confronted about her lies.
I'm sure my colleagues said she false, just very specifically.
It's not only colleagues who watch this. There's also the American people.
Exactly.
So to be fair,
and they were
right?
told by you in July that this would not happen, and it did. Do you, I'm saying, asking for yourself, not the president's statement, but for yourself. Do you feel like you are owed an apology by the president? Do you owe an apology to the American people?
Zeke, I just laid out the president's thinking. The president laid it out himself in his own words. He did. He laid out how he wrestled with this decision. He said in his statement, as a president, as a father, he talked about how difficult it was to make this decision.
What he should have done when asked about it was simply say no comment, not lie to the American people and say he's not going to pardon his son, even though it was completely obvious that that was what he was going to do. But he wanted to give the impression that only the Republicans are so corrupt, only Donald Trump would do such a thing. And then they knew that he would just do it after the election, thinking that they would win, and then the American people would forget about it because the low information voters have such short memories anyway. But I have the memory of an elephant, and I'm going to save this clip of Whoopi Goldberg gloating about how the president can pardon anyone he wants to, even Bozo the Clown. No, I don't know what Bozo did, because after Donald Trump starts pardoning the January 6th prisoners and the media completely freaks out, we're going to revisit this clip. But surprisingly, somebody on The View actually did speak some common sense. John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, who, despite having a stroke and having the mental capacity of a ham sandwich during the time of the election, has made a tremendous recovery, thankfully. And occasionally, he has made some very valid points about legislation and what needs to be done.
Oh, well, I think it's undeniable that the case against Hunter Biden was really politically motivated, but I also think it's true that the trial in New York for Trump that was political as well too. Now it's that, and in both cases, I think a pardon is appropriate, and I really think collectively, America's confidence in these kinds of institutions have been damaged by these kinds of cases, and we cannot allow these kinds of institutions to be weaponized against our political opponents. And it's very clear both trials were politically motivated and weaponized that on the other side.
You heard him correctly. John Fetterman is saying that Joe Biden should pardon Donald Trump for all of the lawfare, the despicable persecution that the Biden Justice Department waged against him. Excuse me, Barack, would you like to accuse Republicans of the exact same things that the Democrats are guilty of, sir?
There are going to be times, potentially, when one side tries to stack the deck and lock in a permanent grip on power.
You mean how the Marxist Democrats in Congress and the Operation Mockingbird assets in the media were openly discussing how they're planning on stacking the Supreme Court, adding 4 or 6 new Democrats to the Supreme Court, bypassing the traditional nomination and congressional approval process?
They're using the judiciary, the criminal justice system to go after opponents.
He's literally saying that this is what the Republicans are going to do. Every single accusation that they make is an admission of their guilt. And this floozy Alex Cooper, who hosts the Call Her Daddy podcast, which is just a trash can of a podcast for liberal feminists, which had Kamala Harris on and hoping to reach them to convince them to vote for her, now admits that the rumors are true that the Kamala campaign paid to have her set recreated so that when they had the interview, which was not in her regular set because she had to travel to go visit Kamala because Kamala's schedule was so busy, that it would look like they were actually in the Call Her Daddy studio. That's how phony these people are. Instead of just traveling to interview Kamala and sitting down in a couple of random chairs in a hotel room and putting some microphones up like normal podcasters do when they go and travel to interview somebody, they're so phony that they literally paid. Rumors were that it was $100,000, but she says it wasn't that much, but she does confirm that they literally did pay to recreate the set. And by the way, this floozy is getting paid $125 million over the next 3 years.
There's a little bit of controversy about that podcast because you did.
Oh.
Do you know about this?
No, what?
Because in D.C., this interview happened in D.C.
Yeah.
In a hotel.
Yeah. Not in a hotel. It was like a random house.
It was like random house. But apparently, you can tell me, they spent, meaning the Harris campaign spent like $100,000.
I did see
you
that.
know about this?
It's hilarious.
To build the studio.
Yeah, that's not true.
Not true. To make it look like it was the studio that you used in L.A.
My studio that is gorgeous in Los Angeles doesn't even cost six figures. So I don't know how cardboard walls could cost six figures.
Because you're talking about politicians. You're talking about slush funds. You're talking about career criminals just using other people's money so they don't care how much it costs. I care how much things cost, though, and I don't want you to have to pay for rush shipping to order anything from markdice.com if you're a slacker and you don't order it this weekend to get it in time for Christmas. So be sure to head on over there, click the link in the description below today. Make Christmas dinner extra special by wearing a Trump Plus sweatshirt or a t-shirt if you're in warmer climates, the new MAGA Christmas and Happy 4 More Years shirt, or stock up on Christmas gifts like the classic Trump Fight 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 shirt, Christ is King, the Liberalism Find a Cure shirt, the MAGA Mafia shirt, or any of my awesome designs. All available to t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. And by the way, if you click on the drinkware link up at the top, you can see that most of the designs are also available in mugs and in 3 different sizes, in a standard coffee mug, slightly bigger, and then a large one. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out.